Ladies, how many of you are being tested right now? How many of you have been continuously questioning your love life and have started to allow the enemy to play with your mind? If this is the case, I want to point out some ways that the enemy is distracting you and the enemy is purposely coming for you in order to destroy your love life and your romantic relationships. Let go. Welcome to Edified Minds. I'm Kennedy Edwards, and I edify young women about relationships, self-love, and accountability. We are about to wrap up season 2. And so if you have not looked at every episode, make sure that you guys are looking on YouTube because now we are recording, we're on video, but also you might as well binge on season 1. You could see the growth, okay? You can listen to what I was talking about a little bit earlier in 2023. And that is on Apple, Spotify, and iHeart because it's audio only. So before I get into this episode, I want to do a vibe check. And ladies, I want us to breathe really quick as you're listening. Just breathe. 3 seconds in. Let's do it together. Breathe out. Again, breathe in. Breathe out. Recently, my therapist pointed out that I'm not breathing enough. So it's tied to anxiousness, anxiety sometimes. And so I just want us to take some time out just to breathe. So yeah, this week has been pretty well for me. This is week 2 of the fast. I'm continuing to deep dive into my Bible, deep dive into prayer. And it's been really good. Work is going well. If you don't know, I have 2 jobs and my full-time is related to construction. So that industry is bustling. They're preparing for the spring and the summer when building a lot of things is going to be more active because of the warmer weather. But the other job I got is retail based. And so it's a little slow. I guess people are not trying to spend now after the holidays. So I'm having a little bit more time to myself in the afternoons and I'm taking full advantage of it, to be honest. Matter of fact, I took off today. I used a free PTO day for my full-time job and I am chilling, doing some filming, doing some cleaning, errands, like just doing me today. But I went to the mall earlier today and your girl was just kind of shopping around looking. And I came to this weird realization. I have an annoyance with men at this moment. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. I am covering a whole relationship series. And yet for some reason, I realized my annoyance. I was just looking at the directory and I looked around because I've been operating more in silence during this fast. And I just looked around and I saw guys with kids. I don't play that. I saw guys with other girls. I don't play that. And then I saw guys left over where I just was not interested. And I'm like, God, is this what you have left over for me? Is this what we're doing now? Because I saw no prospects. Even if I was interested, I didn't see a prospect. The other day I went to Starbucks though. And I did see me a prospect. Then he had the Bible on the table too. We chopped it up a bit. But I guess God was like, look, you fasting. Don't be too fast right now. You know what I mean? So anywho, I just realized though, that for some reason, the presence of some guys is just really annoying me. And in my previous therapy session, I explained to her that this one guy had DM'd me and I was on the fence about it already. You know, my gut was like, don't know if I'm even ready for that. Told him straight up, I'm not ready for a relationship, but if you want to be workout accountability partners, because I see that you're working out and I'm doing the same, totally free to do that. And his communication was so horrible. You know, I gave him my number after the DM and I was expecting for us to at least chop it up Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like we had planned. He said he was a man of intention, all this stuff, and he just did not come through. So I quickly cut that off. But I found myself so upset about it before I did the cutoff. That was the day before I did the cutoff. I went to therapy and I talked about it. And I don't know, I guess maybe because I'm fasting, I haven't been eating like that. I'm just agitated in general. But my therapist could definitely tell. She was like, yeah, tell me more about the fast, because I sense your agitation. I'm like, yeah, I ain't been eating. If I was at the mall and I'd had me a cup of Auntie Anne's, I would have been straight. I probably wouldn't even been looking at guys at all. But, with this whole thing going on, silence, being alone, having to listen to God, it can get a little aggravating at times. Like that's just keeping it real, how it can go. And my therapist pointed out something to me. She asked me, for one, why I was so irritated, if I don't know the guy, if I don't care about the guy, but two, why do I keep saying that these guys are wasting my time? Because I kept repeating that to her. I said, he's wasting my time. He wasted my time. I gave him my number. He wasted it. And she was like, Kennedy, are you not in control of what comes in and out your phone? Is there not a block button? My therapist, I'm telling y'all, she is not very vocal. She's not going to over talk. She just asks questions, good questions, and then we dissect what I'm thinking afterwards. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here she goes again, just punching me in the gut. Because I was like, yeah, I guess I'm in control of that. And she was like, yeah. So, I mean, all the energy you're giving it, it just seems like the energy doesn't have to be given if you could just make that decision fast and move forward. So she was just like, it shouldn't be that hard if you can just simply remember your values, like we talked about, for one, and two, tell them, hey, your communication style is just not what I'm looking for right now, and I bid you adieu. Like, it's just that simple. She really put an emphasis on what I'm allowing in the simplest term. So I was like, all right, I get it. You're right. I get it. You're right. You know what I mean? I think we can all agree that it's so easy to become a little disappointed and angry when things haven't worked out in the past. And I don't know, I just found myself kind of just getting annoyed just in the presence of certain guys, or just being annoyed that I'm not seeing things that I'm wanting. And I feel like I'm in a waiting period because even if like I did come across a good guy, I didn't see him in sight, So I got frustrated, like, oh my gosh, literally I'm looking around and there's nothing that I see that is piquing my interest. So I sat in that anger for a minute. I sat in it. And I had to really be real with myself and pray about it and look up scripture regarding it. And I realized that all that stuff that I was feeling was just the enemy messing with my mind, per usual. He's always coming for me because he knows that I'm chosen. So he's always coming for me. And he's going to come for you too. I'm just letting you know that right now. As you're fasting, he's going to come for you. As you continue working on yourself, as you continue saying no to certain men, he's going to keep coming for you. I'm just telling you that right now. Be guarded because he comes for us. And I just could tell like he was getting in my head. He was just reminding me of what didn't work and making me feel like it wasn't gonna work because I wasn't seeing it. And as we all know, even though we may not be seeing things that God is doing, it doesn't mean that he's not working behind the scenes. So I just started calling Satan like an F boy out of nowhere. I'm like, yeah, F boy, you can't mess with me, F boy. And I don't even know if we say the term F boy anymore like that, but I know for certain in college, I was saying F boy. I graduated in 2018. I'll keep it there. And F boy is a guy who lies, cheats, manipulates, plays with people, definitely towards the opposite sex for the most part. Unless he's a down lower. We're not going to get into that though. And he just cannot be trusted. But a lot of women end up falling for him because he's got some type of charisma, some type of charm that lures them in, and then they're stuck. But when they get out of his grasp, they're so damaged. They're upset. They feel tricked. They realize, oh my gosh, he's an F-boy. By the time you realize it, it's too late anyway. But I just realized that the enemy is an F-boy. And as I was thinking about F-boys, and keep in mind, y'all, I'm like sitting here at the mall thinking about this, but then I go home to my therapy session. Then after the therapy session, I'm thinking about this. So I don't want y'all just thinking this is all thoughts coming at once. It's throughout the day. I just realized that so many guys in my past had traits of the enemy, which is why I would call them F-boys. My therapist asked me to list out some things that I was in control of and then things that I felt like I wasn't in control of. And so I listed out some successes, like, for example, my podcast. I prayed on it, but it took me to write down that blueprint, to get in touch with the photography, graphic designers, build the profile. It's taken my energy right now to film. Another thing is my academic life. It took me making those good grades and graduating to have my bachelor's degree. Also, I lost 30 pounds one time in college. So that took me and my ability alone to lose that weight and to drop it. So I've had a lot of different successes, but those are just some things that came to mind. But then when I put down on the list things that I couldn't control, the very first thing that came to mind was relationships, and how no matter what I've done, the honesty, the 90-day rule, the trying to vet people out, the asking the good questions, the looking at the resources, the praying, nothing has been working so far. And I'm becoming frustrated with it. And in that moment, my therapist pointed out that in a relationship, that takes two. That can't really count as something that only you can put your energy in because you still will have to rely on your partner. So all I can do in this moment is focus on me and counteract the negative thoughts that come in my mind by the enemy. I've been reading my Bible a lot more and I'm dedicated to it. And during the beginning of my fast, I was just led to go to Proverbs. If you don't know about Proverbs, it's all about wisdom. I mean, wisdom is literally calling out to us in the Bible. Literally. She's saying, I'm calling out to you. I'm yelling to you in the streets. I'm watching what y'all doing and y'all not listening. If you have me in your life, I'm more precious than silver, diamonds, gold, rubies. I'm more precious than all that stuff. If you have wisdom, you'll live. And if you hate wisdom, you'll die. Like, it was very clear that God was telling me to start being more wise. Even when I begin dating again, be wise. Even when I continue making new friendships, be wise. I reflected on decisions that were made in the past, and I was just operating in a sense of not being wise. But the enemy's playing on that because he knows that I do value relationships. It's one of my values. Friendships, social circles, things of that nature. I value those things. So the enemy at one point would play with my mind and say that I couldn't keep a friend to save my life. He used to play with me like that. And I had to tell him, no, you're a liar. I can keep them. But now he's doing that in my romantic life. And I can't let him win. Ladies, how many of you are being tested right now? How many of you have been continuously questioning your love life and have started to allow the enemy to play with your mind? If this is the case, I want to point out some ways that the enemy is distracting you and the enemy is purposely coming for you in order to destroy your love life and your romantic relationships. The enemy is going to get you with fear. That's the very first thing. He's going to make you think of all the other guys that did you dirty, all the other things that didn't go right, and he's going to make you sit in it. Okay? He's going to keep reminding you of that. The enemy is very smart in his schemes. And so I want to warn against fear. Fear keeps you stuck because you can't even move forward without thinking something's going to go wrong. And our minds, as I've touched on many a times, plays with us. All right. We think that we're over something and then we realize we ain't over it because we go through it again and again. We're repeating cycles. It's like, dude, we got to cut off the fear. I just feel like fear doesn't help in any area because if you won't take the initiative to hope for something new and have faith that something's going to work out in your favor, then there's nothing else that you're going to do but sit there in sadness, depression, and anxiety, fearing the unknown. The next thing is sweet lies. The enemy I don't know, he's good with sweet lies. Like, if you don't think the enemy is listening to everything you tell God you want in a man, then you're tripping. The enemy's right there listening like, yeah, I heard her say she wants a man who's 6'2", six-pack, brown skin, hazel eyes, lots of money in the bank, a man of God, so he'll come off. And I'm going to give her that. It's called a counterfeit. If you don't know what a counterfeit is, look it up because I don't want to get deep into it. He's going to send you a counterfeit. He'll send you everything your heart desires and he'll go, she's going to fall for it because she said she wanted that. So she's going to see it and think it's sent from God. Eventually, though, you realize this guy got 3 baby moms. He don't take care of none of his kids. He's broke. He's abusive. He's addicted to porn. And he's a liar, like a pathological liar. These are the things the enemy does. But he already got you because you were just so enhanced and enticed by this sweet lie. I don't know how many guys I have dated that just lied so effortlessly. And it's so scary when you think about it because that is what the enemy does. He will send us things that appear to be one way and then eventually it's another way. But my question is this, are you so deep in that you don't even care when the lie comes? Because that's really when you know you effing up. When you're dealing with a guy and you lie to yourself and go, he loves me and he cares about me, but he's done so many things that have caused confusion, hurt, pain. That is not of God. That is of the enemy. And the enemy will let people come in and give you sweet lies. Also in Proverbs, I want to point that out too, that Wisdom was talking about a situation where a man went into a woman's home and she was so fine, pretty much. Like if I'm telling it to you in modern day terms, she was bad and she said, hey, my husband's gone for the weekend, come through, I got a bottle for you, I got some weed, and we can vibe, and I'm gonna give you this thing all night long, like, let's have some fun. And Wisdom pointed out that because she was so fine and said the right words, he went in her house, and next thing you know, pretty much sleeping with her is like killing his spirit. It's draining him. It's taking away from him. So keep in mind, the enemy during your romantic, search or whatever is going to try to get in the way and throw you off with sweet lies. Another thing is temporary pleasures, which I think a lot of us like. We like a temporary pleasure. Think of like a crumble cookie. Oh, we know it's so bad for us, but it tastes so good in the moment. Think of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Oh, you could tell I'm hungry right now. I got to stop it. But the enemy does that. He will send temporary pleasure. Ladies, I cannot emphasize enough how dangerous it is for you to continue sleeping with men, especially if you're listening to this podcast and you now know, and you're now being warned and you keep doing it. You're making a conscious effort to keep doing it. I cannot express how dangerous that is for you. I just can't. It doesn't matter about the 90-day rule anymore. I used to swear by the 90-day rule. Used to swear by it. I thought that I was greater than because I would stick with that rule. No, you don't really know that person. You don't really know their spirit. You don't know their intent. You don't know what this person is going to do in the months to come. So just know that temporary fun, especially hookup culture, especially friends with benefits, even dating a guy for a couple months after a couple dates, it's just dangerous to do. That is how the enemy will keep you warped in a cycle. How you gonna meet your husband and you keep sleeping around with all these jokers that are so less than your future husband? Like, if your husband saw what you were doing, he would go, I don't want to be associated with her. Look at what you sleep with. I don't see your value at all. Even if that is your man for real, you're destined to be, because of how you're moving, probably off of fear, okay? And you're allowing yourself to just be overcome by temporary pleasure. It's a no for you. It's not going to work out. So ladies, I really encourage you to stop giving in to the temporary pleasure. Culture says that we have needs. I don't know about you, but I need God more than I need dick. Okay? I'm just going to say it straight up. I need that more than that. And so ladies, we have to stick with that. We've got to walk in that, because the enemy is throwing a lot of us off just based off lust, just based off a temporary thing. Oh, I got a sugar daddy, but he's got a whole wife. And so temporarily he's buying you Louis and this and that. And that is actually keeping you bound. That is throwing you off, and you're allowing it. You're doing it. But just know the enemy is clapping it up like, I got this dummy. She's so dumb. But you know what? She's having fun doing it. She likes it. It's giving her pleasure. Don't fall for it. And lastly, the enemy will kill your confidence. He's going to kill it. He's going to cut at your confidence left and right. I don't know how many times I've come across a woman who just says straight up, I don't want to date just because. I feel like it's a lie. I feel like there's something deep down inside where she does not feel confident about the dating pool. She does not feel confident about her ability to attract the man that is going to love her and treat her the way she should be treated. And it is the enemy cutting it down, because you have allowed yourself to sleep with so many guys that are less than. They've almost talked you into believing that you're less than. We're going to wipe that clean today. Whoever you slept with in the past, whoever you have dealt with in the past, they don't define you. Whatever you've done in the past doesn't define you. You are made new every single day. I have to remind myself of this. And in literal terms, modern day terms, whatever you want to call it, sis, you're not who you used to be. You're brand new. If you want to switch it up today, you can switch it up today. You can make yourself a new identity any day you choose to. You don't have to be bound to decisions that you made, even last week. Like, it's just that deep. I don't want you guys to sit and feeling like, well, since I'm already messing around with him, I might as well continue. Cut it off. We all used to chant that song by K Camp. It ain't nothing to cut that. We used to jam to that song. And yet so many of y'all are not doing what you were saying and chanting and singing and whatever. You're not doing that. You might as well never sing that song again if you really can't cut somebody off before they hurt you. Like, cut somebody off when you just look at their character and say, that's the enemy right there. Because let me tell you something. God's not going to send you a man who lies, who cheats, who knocks somebody up, even if y'all on a break. Okay? He's not going to send you somebody who causes you confusion. He's not going to send you a man who's unsure about you and you've been dating for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. That's not of God. When you start to realize that, then you have to ask yourself, am I okay being with the enemy because I'm just so insecure about self? Or are you okay stepping out and believing God and having faith that, you know what, whether I'm 32, whether I'm 35, whether I'm 25, I know that God has better out there for me. I feel led right now to end this episode off with a prayer. I already know that as you continue listening and tuning in, you're going to deal with spiritual warfare. This is not to scare you, okay? Because you already been dealing with it. You probably just been losing. Now you already know to put up your armor and actually fight back. But I feel led to end with a prayer, just praying for you guys as we end off this relationship series, and as I hope that you guys take these gems and apply them to your life. And I just want to say that, God, I thank you so much for the Edified tribe, Lord. I thank you so much for the young woman who is listening today. God, she is your daughter. You love her, and you have put her on this earth to live out her purpose, God. Lord, you want for us to love others the way that you love us, Lord, but you don't want for us to be deceived by the enemy, God. You told us to guard our hearts. You told us to be wise. You told us to be gentle as doves, but wise as serpents. And so, Lord, I pray that over my sisters that are listening today, that you give them these character traits, God. Strengthen their discernment, strengthen their self-control, strengthen their obedience, God, and strengthen their ability to overlook the enemy's schemes. Lord, we thank you for those you have brought in our lives and those that you have removed. Some people have been here for reasons and seasons, and so we don't want to overlook the lessons that have come out of the people who have entered our lives, Lord. Lord, I pray marriage over these ladies. I pray that these women grow into being Proverbs 31 women, God, that they're women of God. They're women of trust. They're women of wisdom. They're women who don't gossip. They're women who don't complain, but they are women who praise you. They are women who have faith. They are women who worship you. They are women who believe in your ability to provide for them, God. Lord, I love you. We love you. And I just pray that in 2024, you give us clarity in our relationships. You give us clarity in our love life. You give us clarity, God, during our single season. You give us clarity if we're dating. You give us clarity if we're engaged. You give us clarity if we're married, God. Strengthen us, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. Ladies, now is the time. Now is the time. I feel it. Don't get in your own way. Tell the enemy to F off. Goodbye. Don't want to associate with you. You're not welcome here. All right. And keep tuning into Edified Minds podcast. Like I said, we got one more episode. Thank you so much for listening. And I've actually am about to head to a nail appointment. Your girl is overdue. I got a fill-in that needs to be filled. And I'm thinking maybe like a marble color, a nude color, something to that degree. Then I'm going to make a cake for my mom and my Grammy. And yeah, I've got some things to do today. So make sure that you guys subscribe. You guys are following. You're sharing with friends. You're commenting. DM me, ladies. Like, I'm open to conversation. If you have a podcast and you want to be a guest, if you know someone that you think will be a good guest, please talk to me. DM me. Like, I'm looking for you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great week. I will see you guys next week.